At exactly 5 in the morning, when the sky was still pale and undecided between night and day, the knock came, soft, hesitant, and completely out of place. I stood frozen in my small apartment hallway, heart pounding, because no good news ever arrived at a door before sunrise. When I opened it, the world shifted. Standing there, framed by the early daylight and quiet suburban street, was Mara Ellison, the newly divorced CEO whose name filled business headlines, looking smaller, tired, and heartbreakingly human. Before the story goes any further, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and the quiet power of compassion, please like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, comment your thoughts, and subscribe to the channel Heartbeat Tales. Your support keeps stories like this alive. Mara Ellison was the kind of woman people feared in boardrooms and admired from a distance. Sharp, composed, untouchable. As her junior strategy consultant, I had only ever seen her in tailored suits, commanding silence with a single glance. But at my door that morning, she wore a simple black sweater, her hair pulled back without care, her eyes carrying the weight of sleepless nights. The neighborhood was waking slowly, birds stirring, sunlight beginning to stretch across lawns, and yet it felt like the world had narrowed down to just us and the moment between breaths. I had moved into that quiet row of houses after my own life fell apart, laid off, broken engagement, and a sense that I was always one step behind everyone else. Work at Ellison Dynamics was my lifeline, though it came with long hours and quiet loneliness. I never expected my personal and professional worlds to collide like this. Mara stood there, hands clasped, shoulders tight, as if she had driven for hours with only one fragile thought guiding her. She needed somewhere safe, somewhere no one would recognize her, somewhere she could finally stop pretending. The news of her divorce had been brutal. Media, speculation, internal company whispers, investors watching her every move. She had led a billion-dollar company while her marriage quietly disintegrated behind closed doors. That morning, she carried the exhaustion of someone who had given everything to everyone else and had nothing left for herself. She didn't cry, she didn't explain much, but her presence said more than words ever could. She had reached a breaking point, and somehow, impossibly, she had ended up at my door. Inside, the apartment was modest, sunlit by the early morning glow creeping through thin curtains. The city noise was distant, replaced by the hum of a refrigerator and the comfort of stillness. Mara sat stiffly at first, like a guest afraid to take up space. As minutes passed, something in her softened. She looked around at the simplicity of my life, the mismatched furniture, the books stacked in corners, the quiet order of survival, and for the first time, she wasn't a CEO. She was just a woman who had lost her sense of home. Her confession came not as drama, but as truth laid bare. She had spent years building an empire while slowly disappearing inside it. Her marriage hadn't failed because of betrayal, but because ambition had consumed every tender moment. She had believed strength meant silence, leadership meant isolation, and now, in the aftermath, she didn't know who she was without the armor. The hardest part, she admitted, was realizing that success meant nothing when there was no one left to share the sunrise with. Listening to her, I felt my own wounds stir. I had spent months blaming myself for not being enough, not successful enough, not confident enough, not chosen. Yet here was a woman who had everything I thought I wanted, sitting in my small living room, confessing the same emptiness. In that shared vulnerability, something shifted. Not romance, not yet, but understanding. Two people standing at different heights of the same mountain, realizing the view could still feel lonely. As the morning grew brighter, the world outside continued as normal. Cars passed, neighbors left for work, life moved on. But inside that space, something quietly healed. Mara didn't ask for solutions. She didn't need advice. She needed presence. And for the first time in a long while, I realized that being there for someone could also mean being there for myself. When she finally stood to leave, there was a calm in her posture that hadn't been there before. Not because her problems were solved, but because she no longer carried them alone. Watching her step back into the daylight, I understood that sometimes the most powerful moments aren't loud or dramatic. They happen at dawn, in silence, when two broken lives briefly intersect and remind each other how to breathe again. If this story has touched your heart, if it reminded you that even the strongest people need safe doors to knock on, please take a moment to like, comment, and share this video. Your engagement tells us these stories matter. And before the ending, a special request. Comment below with the word hope if you believe that healing can begin in the most unexpected moments. That morning didn't change my life overnight, but it changed how I saw value in kindness, in presence, in the courage to be honest. And somewhere between 5 a.m. and sunrise, I learned that second chances don't always come wrapped as miracles. Sometimes they arrive quietly, knocking on your door, asking only to be let in.